Welcome back, friends. Happy Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Hope you don't have to work. If you do, hopefully you get off early. Uh, different businesses have different practices. It'd be really cool if you had to work on the day before Thanksgiving. If instead of actual work, we used to do what we did in school. Remember, day before Thanksgiving? Back then we went the day before Thanksgiving. Now they got the whole week off. But remember that Wednesday? We didn't do anything. All we did was like word finds, watch movies, had their mediocre school district turkey dinner. That's what businesses around America need to do. If you have to work today, you don't do any work. You just do word finds and stuff like that. Huh? How great would that be? All right, so we're doing two shows in one. Because of the holiday, we're going to go over what happened last week, preview what's going to go on this week. Before we start, hit that little button down there, subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Got a lot to get to, so let's get to it. The newest CFP rankings came out the other night. Was it Tuesday? Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Michigan, which those two will play this weekend. Washington, they were at 5 for a long time. They jumped Florida State, moved in the 4th position. Florida State is 5th now. Oregon 6th. A lot of speculation because Jordan Travis got hurt that Florida State's season is trash now. I don't know. He's a great quarterback. Their team's great. We'll see what happens here. They got Florida. But that's a big game, though. Even though Florida's not as good as they used to be, rivalry games, everything changes in those. So we'll see what happens there. Speaking of Jordan Travis, he out for the season since his college football days are over. Hope he heals because that was a nasty-looking injury. Good luck to you, Jordan. Hope you heal up just fine. Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, he is day-to-day. He left the game last week. He had numbness in his hand or something like that. Hopefully they get that figured out. Michigan State athletic director Alan Haller said he wanted to get rid of Mel Tucker months before the season started. School administration would not let him. And then, of course, all that stuff came out about sexual harassment and all that stuff later. Syracuse, they fired head coach Dino Babers after 8 seasons. He went 41-55, 20-45 in ACC play. And if I remember right, a few years ago, he had a 10-win season. But they just could never capitalize on that. Texas Southern, down the road, not far from here, down the road in Houston, they fired their head coach, Clarence McKinney. We had a couple games this week, Tuesday night. Bowling Green, they finished their season 7-5 by beating Western Michigan 34-10. Eastern Michigan, they got bowl eligible Tuesday night. They beat Buffalo 24-11. All right, so go back almost a week. Last Thursday, Pitt beat Boston College 24-16. BC turned that program around. They're bowl eligible. They have lost the last 2, but still, heck of a lot better than they would have been the last few seasons. Moving on to Friday, UTSA moved to 8-3. They beat South Florida 49-21. Frank Harris, their quarterback, 411 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, ran for 112 yards and 3 touchdowns. Guys, pretty incredible. Washington State, hey, they ended their 6-game losing streak. They beat Colorado 56-14. Ward, he had 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns for the Cougars. Saturday, Georgia beat Tennessee 38-10. Neither team scored in the 4th quarter in this one. Carson Beck, he had 3 touchdown passes in this game. I kind of figured Georgia would win that game. Tennessee, they just don't seem to be as good as they were last year. So I kind of was like, Georgia's probably going to win. Ohio State beat Minnesota 37-3. Travion Henderson for Ohio State, 146 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Michigan, amid all the turmoil that's been going on there, Jim Harbaugh get their 1,000th win program history. Beat Maryland 31-24. It was a close game all the way, though. Maryland gave them quite a fight. Corum, 2 rushing touchdowns. Defensive back Mike Sanistrill, I think that's how you say it. 2 interceptions. Michigan defense, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, fumble return for a touchdown, 2 safeties. It's like, God. The offense, though, Michigan's offense didn't look, I don't know, just like they didn't look comfortable. They had no big yardage, chunky yardage plays or anything in this game. It's kind of crazy. Under 300 total yards. They, hopefully, they've been working on that this week, and they will have to work on it before Saturday. Florida State beat Northern Alabama. Jordan Travis went out with an injury. Anyway, they won 58-13. Rodemaker, the backup quarterback for FSU, he came in 217 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Their defense had 5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 2 turnovers. So Rodemaker's not that bad of a quarterback. He's no Jordan Travis, but he might be able to play good enough to beat Florida this week. Washington, boy, they escaped Oregon State. I watched that game, 22-20. Great game. Rained about 3.5 quarters of that game. Quarterbacks, they could throw the ball. The receivers just couldn't catch for both teams. It's a slippery ball, I guess they couldn't catch. Good game, though. It was a good game. It was tight all the way. Oregon beat Arizona State 49-13. Bo Nix, 404 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. Texas, like I said, for some reason, Ames, Iowa, up there was a Jack Trice Stadium. It was a hard place to play, and Iowa State gave Texas a hell of a game. They ended up winning 26-16, but it was a 6-3 game at halftime. Something about up there at Ames, Iowa, I don't know. Alabama, they whooped Chattanooga 66-10. Missouri escaped Florida. That was a good game, too, 33-31. Mevis, their kicker, comes through again, 15 points, including the game winner. So that guy, they should give the guy a special award for everything he's done this year. Louisville beat Miami 38-31. Penn State beat Rutgers 27-6. Drew Aller, he got injured. He only had 99 passing yards in that one. He didn't return. Ole Miss beat Louisiana Monroe 35-3. Jackson Dart, 310 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Wade had 108 receiving yards and a touchdown. OU had trouble with BYU, but they did win 31-24. Dylan Gabriel left with an injury. A lot of top players getting injured this last week. 2 touchdown passments. Bowman Jr., 100-yard pick 6 for Oklahoma. LSU started off slow, but they ended up beating Georgia State 56-14. Jaden Daniels, 413 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, ran for 96 and 2 touchdowns. A lot of people say he should win the Heisman. I agree. It's just, I don't know what it is now. People look at your team and say, well, the team sucks, even though he's throwing 10 touchdown passes a game, so he can't win. Lot of players that won the Heisman were on okay teams. I think who's the guy at Louisville a few years ago that won it? His team was ranked 9-3. Paul Hornung, Notre Dame. They only won like 2 games that year, and he won the Heisman. This was way back when. So it remains to be seen who's going to win. You got a lot of top guys there. Penix, Bo Nix. Just remains to be seen what's going to happen there. Iowa beat Illinois 15-13. They won the Big Ten West, and they won the right to, let's face it, get their butt whooped by whoever wins the East. Although, the way Michigan's been playing, say Michigan does win and goes to the Big Ten championship game, Iowa could have a chance because Michigan, I don't know what their deal is. Their offense is just kind of falling off a little bit. But still. Arizona, man, they are 8-3. What a turnaround. They beat Utah 42-18. Fifita for Arizona, 253 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Wiley had 2 touchdown catches. Going back to Utah, Cody Rising said he is coming back for his 7th year of eligibility next year. Remember, he got hurt in that Rose Bowl last year, ACL, I think. That's why he hadn't played all year. But he says he's coming back next year, so that's cool. Sam Hartman lit up his old team at Wake Forest through 4 touchdown passes. Notre Dame beat Wake Forest 45-7. Clemson beat North Carolina 31-20. Tar Heels have just not been the same since they lost that game to Virginia. Remember, last year you wondered which Drake May and offense we're going to get. We're going to get a great Drake May offense or a so-so. This year, starting off, they were pretty much a good offense all year. Defense was suspect, and then we found that out in that Virginia game. And ever since, both sides of the ball just haven't been the same since that Virginia loss. So, I don't know. Uh, was a battle of Sunflower State. Kansas State comes from behind, beats Kansas 31-27. Kansas State's Will Howard, 2 touchdowns, passes, ran for a touchdown. Giddens, 102 rushing yards and a touchdown. But Kansas, man, Devin Neal, 138 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Hell of a game for him, even though they lost. Oklahoma State beat Houston 43-30. Ollie Gordon, 164 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns for the Cowboys. Tulane, look at them, having a great season again, 10-1. They beat Florida Atlantic 24-8. Pratt, 252 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. 2 of those were to Chris Carter. Coastal Carolina, which was once a great team, I don't know what's happened to them. They dropped to 7-4. They lost to Army 28-21. Michigan State beat Indiana 24-21. Indiana has lost 16 out of their last 20 games. That's just incredible. Mississippi State, they are back. Will Rogers is back. Beat Southern Miss 41-20. Mississippi State is 5-6. They got to play Ole Miss tomorrow night. With Will Rogers being back, they win. They got a spark under them. You never know. They might beat Ole Miss and get that six win so they can go to a bowl game. Northwestern, man, like we said before, what a hell of a turnaround. Last summer, you figured they were dead in the water. They're bowl eligible now. Beat Purdue 23-15. Porter had 2 rushing touchdowns for the Wildcats. They can improve on that record. They got Illinois this week, and Illinois is just not Illinois. Texas A&M beat Abilene Christian 38-10. Henderson played quarterback for A&M, 260 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Navy's 5-5. They beat East Carolina 10-0. 9-2 SMU beat Memphis 38-34. SMU Stone, 286 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. Johnson Jr., 115 rushing yards and a touchdown. Rogers, the kicker, 8 points for SMU. Hennigan from Memphis, 402 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Gillis, kicker for them, had 8 points there. Also, it's probably one of the better games of the weekend. Liberty, they're 11-0 now. They beat UMass 49-25. Liberty's Hodge, 62-yard pick 6 in that one. Jacksonville State, they're 8-3. They beat Louisiana Tech 56-17. Rice, they need one more win to become bowl eligible. They beat Charlotte last Saturday 28-7. Appalachian State handed James Madison its first loss, 26-23 in overtime. Wyoming beat Hawaii 42-9. Cowboys are 7-4 now. They got one more game. They go 8-4 and have a really good season. West Virginia 7-4. They beat Cincinnati 42-21. Virginia beat Duke 30-27. Duke has just not been the same team since Leonard got hurt in that Notre Dame game. What was that, last month? Man, they were having a great season until that happened. Arkansas State beat Texas State 77-31. Red Wolves, they had 2 pick 6s in this game. Both returned for a touchdown. 77-31, wow. Colorado State, they're 1 win away from bowl eligibility. They beat Nevada 30-20. Western Kentucky beat Sam Houston 28-23. Hilltoppers are 6-5 now. UCLA beat USC 38-20. USC finishes 7-5. Remember, they played in that first week they call week 0. UCLA 7-4. I think UCLA has Cal this week. A lot of people are saying Lincoln Riley just isn't the coach for USC and get rid of him. I don't know. A lot of these coaches, they have something good going on, and then they jump ship. Lincoln Riley, Brett Bielema had something good at Wisconsin going on, jumped ship, went to Arkansas, that sank. Rich Rodriguez, remember? Great things going to West Virginia, goes to Michigan, it sinks. Some of you coaches just need to stay where you are if you have something good going on. Forget about the money. Just stay where you are. But I don't know. North Carolina State, 8-3 now. They beat Virginia Tech 35-28. Wolfpack's Armstrong, 2 touchdown passes, 2 rushing TDs. TCU 5-6. They beat Baylor 42-17. Troy moved to 9-2, beat Louisiana 31-24. Raging Cajuns are 5-6. They got a chance to go bowl eligible this week. UNLV beat Air Force 31-27. UNLV's 9-2 now. Air Force 8-3. Maiyava, I think that's how you say his name for the Rebels, 339 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks also. Air Force's Jones, 88 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Linebacker for UNLV, Marcel McDuffie, 15 tackles, 10 solo. Man. Air Force defense wasn't too shabby, though. 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Air Force actually led this game 27-14 at halftime. And they're outscored in the second half 17-0. They just let UNLV have it. Crazy. Texas Tech beat Central Florida 24-23. Texas Tech's bowl eligible. Central Florida needs one more win. They'll try to get that this weekend. South Alabama beat Marshall 28-0. South Alabama, they're bowl eligible. Marshall needs that one last win this weekend. Old Dominion beat Georgia Southern 20-17. Old Dominion needs one more win for a bowl win. Cal beat Stanford 27-15. Cal needs one more win to go bowl eligible. I think they're playing UCLA. We'll go over that here in a minute. Boise State beat Utah State 45-10. Boise State bowl eligible. Utah State looking for that 6th win this weekend. Arkansas beat Florida International 44-20. Arkansas 4-7. Boy, that's not the year they were hoping to have. I mean, you win this weekend, you can go 5-7. But South Carolina beat Kentucky 17-14. That was a kind of a crazy game. Spencer Rattler 207 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Larry for UK 171 passing yards, touchdown. Kentucky 6-5 after that promising start. South Carolina 5-6. If they could beat Clemson this weekend, they'll go to a bowl. Wisconsin beat Nebraska in overtime 24-17, made them bowl eligible. Who would think it would be this late in the season that Wisconsin is trying to get bowl eligible? Nebraska's 5-6. They got Iowa on Friday. Man, I would expect Nebraska to be able to beat Iowa because Iowa's offense just weird offense. Georgia Tech beat Syracuse 31-22 for their 6th win. Syracuse is 5-6. They will try to get their 6th win on a Friday or Saturday without Dino Babers. This is crazy. 4-7. New Mexico beat 8-3 Fresno State. Isn't that crazy? 25-17. Krosky Merritt for New Mexico, 209 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Medford, 122 receiving yards and a touchdown. That is just some crazy stuff, huh? New Mexico State, Auburn pays them $1.8 million to come play them, and they beat them. So New Mexico State won twice on this one. That's just crazy. Pavia from New Mexico State, 201 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Defense, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. Auburn's Thorne, 148 passing yards and a touchdown. New Mexico State led 10-7 at halftime, outscored Auburn 21-3 in the second half. I knew New Mexico State had a chance to win this game. Auburn just isn't as good as they have been in the past few years. New Mexico State's on a roll, going to their 2nd consecutive bowl game. They've won their side of the conference, so they're going to the conference championship game. Great team, great play. I knew they had a chance to win this game. A lot of people in America is like, oh, but what happened? It's almost like people in the summertime or whenever read their team schedule and say, win, 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 without even looking at those teams and what they've got and what they've done. You know, people in Auburn said, oh, New Mexico State, that's a win, without even looking what New Mexico State has done the last year and the stats of the players they have. That's what it seemed like to me. Because even the guys on TV are like, how did this happen? It's like, do y'all not look at stats? I know y'all do. Crazy. San Jose State, they got their 6th win, beat San Diego State 24-13. FCS playoffs, they were decided. Your top 8 seeds that earned the first round bye. Number 1, South Dakota State, they are 11-0. Number 2, Montana, they're 10-1. Number 3, South Dakota Coyotes, 9-2. Number 4, Idaho, 8-3. Number 5, Albany, 9-3. Number 6, Montana State, 8-3. Number 7, Furman, 9-2. Number 8, Villanova, 9-2. Those are your 8 seeds. Their playoffs start this weekend, Saturday. They're all on ESPN+. Gardner-Webb and Mercer at 2 p.m. Duquesne and Youngstown State at 4 p.m. Sacramento State versus North Dakota at noon. Drake versus North Dakota State Bison, 2:30 p.m., which is crazy. Remember North Dakota State? They used to rule that FCS level for years, and now they don't. They're just good. They're still good. I mean, I wouldn't want to play them, but they're just not a great team. It's like South Dakota State that's taken over that from them. North Carolina Central versus Richmond at 1. Chattanooga versus Austin Peay at 2. Nichols versus Southern Illinois at 2 p.m. Lafayette versus Delaware at 1 p.m. There seemed to be a lot of FCS teams that got hosed out of the playoffs this year. I was watching a selection show, and the guys on TV were talking about how this team not making this, but this team did. The chairman of the committee, he came on there explaining things. I was still like, well, whatever, I guess so. All right, so this week, love Thanksgiving night, the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss and Mississippi State is always entertaining. Rivalry game, all good. Like we said before, Mississippi State, they need that one win to get bowl eligible. Will Rogers is back. So Ole Miss, they got the better rushing and passing game, but you never know what could happen. Friday, 11 a.m., ABC, Miami versus Boston College, both 6-5. They have an even rushing game. Miami's got the better passing game. 11 a.m., ESPN, 8-3 Memphis versus 3-8 Temple. 11 a.m. on CBS, 9-2 Iowa versus 5-6 Nebraska. Nebraska trying to get that 6th win to go to a bowl. They got an even passing game, but Nebraska is way better in the rushing game. 11 a.m. on Fox, 5-6 TCU versus 9-2 Oklahoma. These teams are actually even in passing and rushing. Dylan Gabriel, they said they expect him to play, but we'll see. 11 a.m. CBS Sports, 8-3 Ohio versus 2-9 Akron. 11 a.m. ESPNU, 10-1 Toledo versus 5-6 Central Michigan. Toledo's got the better rushing and passing game. 10-1, they got a chance to go 11-1. Central Michigan's fighting for a bowl spot. I would not expect Toledo to lose this one. They can go 11-1 and have one of the greatest. There's a dog running loose out there. They could have one of the greatest seasons in their history. 2:30 CBS Sports, 5-6 Utah State versus 4-6 New Mexico. New Mexico, who just beat a damn good Fresno State team, so that could be interesting. What we got? 2:30 ABC, 8-3 UTSA versus 10-1 Tulane. Wow, that might be a good one. A good Friday one while everybody's shopping. They're pretty even in the rushing and passing game. 3 p.m. CBS, 9-2 Missouri versus 4-7 Arkansas. 3 p.m. on the Fox Sports 1, 8-3 Air Force versus 6-5 Boise State. They have an even rushing game, but Boise State is better in passing game. 6:30 NBC. When I first heard this game was going to be on primetime Friday night after Thanksgiving, I was like, hell yes, what a game. Well, it turns out 9-2 Penn State versus 4-7 Michigan State. I was looking so forward to that game this summer, and as the year is gone, I've been like, this game's just not gonna pan out. But hey, who knows? 6:30 ABC, 6-5 Texas Tech versus 10-1 Texas. I'm not saying Red Raiders are going to win, but they have been a thorn in the Longhorns' side a lot in the last decade. This is probably the game here. 7:30 at Fox. 8-3 Oregon State at 10-1 Oregon. What they call the Civil War. Man, I got the hiccups. Oregon State averages 193 rushing yards. Oregon averages 197. Oregon State averages 249 passing yards. Oregon averages 350. Oregon State averages 441 total yards. Oregon averages 547. DJ for Oregon State, 2,418 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Excuse me. Bo Nix, 3,539 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That should be a really good game. 11 a.m. on Saturday, 3-8 Pitt versus 6-5 Duke. 11 a.m. on BTN Network, Indiana versus Purdue, both 3-8. 11 a.m. CBS Sports, 9-2 Miami of Ohio versus 4-7 Ball State. 11 a.m. ESPN Plus 5-6 Northern Illinois versus 1-10 Kent State. 11 a.m. ESPN2 5-5 Navy versus 9-2 SMU. Sorry, there's all kinds of crazy shit going. I got dogs around, cars driving by slow. I don't know what these people are up to. 11 a.m. ESPN Plus, 5-6 Northern Illinois versus 1-10 Kent State. 11 a.m. ESPN2 5-5 Navy versus 9-2 SMU. 11 a.m. ABC 6-5 Kentucky versus 10-1 Louisville. 11 a.m. ESPNU 9-2 Troy versus 3-8 Southern Miss. 11 a.m. on Fox, the game, I guess they call it. Ohio State, Michigan, both 11-0 face off. McCord for Ohio State, 2,899 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Travion Henderson, 10 rushing touchdowns. Harrison Jr., 1,093 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns. On Michigan side, McCarthy, 2,335 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Corum, 20 rushing touchdowns. Wilson, 10 touchdown catches. These teams are pretty much even in the rushing and the passing game. But the Buckeyes, way more penalties. I want to say almost double the amount of penalties and yards and penalties than Michigan. Could be the factor. Who knows? 11 a.m. ESPN, 7-4 Texas A&M versus 8-3 LSU. See what Jaden Daniels can do. Remember last year? LSU, nobody expected them to be going to the SEC championship game. They're going. Had a chance possibly to get into the playoff game or the playoffs, and A&M ended that night. Still wondering how LSU won that game a year later. But anyway, little payback here, I guess, for LSU. But A&M, since they dumped that rock load off their back, Jimbo, they seem to be in a lot better spirits. I know A&M fans are. 11 a.m. ESPN Plus, 4-7 Middle Tennessee versus 2-9 Sam Houston. 11 a.m. ESPN Plus, 2-9 UConn versus 3-8 Massachusetts. 11 a.m. FS1, 4-7 Houston versus 5-6 UCF. Noon ESPN Plus, 4-7 Florida Atlantic versus 5-6 Rice. 1 p.m. on the CW, 4-7 Wake Forest versus 5-6 Syracuse. 1 p.m. ESPN Plus, 3-8 Tulsa versus 2-9 East Carolina. 1 p.m. ESPN Plus, UAB versus North Texas, both are 4-7. 1 p.m. ESPN Plus, 6-5 Georgia State versus 5-6 Old Dominion. Old Dominion needs one more bowl win. See if they can get against Georgia State. 2 p.m. on the Mountain West Network, 6-5 San Jose State versus 9-2 UNLV. 2 p.m. ESPN Plus, 2-9 Louisiana Monroe versus 5-6 Louisiana. Playing in Lafayette, Louisiana needs one more win. Monroe's just not that good. I would expect Louisiana to win that game. 2 p.m. Pac-12 Network, 4-7 Colorado versus 7-4 Utah. 2 p.m. ESPN Plus, 6-5 Western Kentucky versus 4-7 Florida International. 2:30 ACC Network, 5-6 Virginia Tech versus 3-8 Virginia. I think they call that one the Battle of the Commonwealth. 2:30 BTN, Maryland versus Rutgers. Both are 6-5. Both started off really good. It kind of fell apart down the stretch. 2:30 ABC, 5-6 BYU versus 8-3 Oklahoma State. 2:30 Big Ten Network, 6-5 Northwestern versus 5-6 Illinois. That could be a really good game. Illinois is fighting for a bowl. Northwestern's made a bowl. They're fighting for a great record to show people, hey, we've pushed all that behind us. That could be a really good battle. Keep an eye on that one. 2:30 FS1, 6-5 Wisconsin versus 5-6 Minnesota. That could be another really good one. Minnesota trying to get bowl eligible. Wisconsin trying to say, hey, we're better than our record. That could be another good one. A couple of good ones there in the Big Ten. That could be really good battles. 2:30 ESPN, 8-3 Arizona versus 3-8 Arizona State. And if I remember right, last year, the year before that, remember, one of the teams was expected to win and they didn't. The other team jumped up, bit them in the ass and won. I want to say Arizona beat Arizona State. Arizona State had a lot better record. That's always a good game. That rivalry is always a good game. 2:30 SEC Network, 2-9 Vandy versus 7-4 Tennessee. 2:30 CBS, the Iron Bowl, which has kind of lost a lot of luster. 10-1 Bama versus 6-5 Auburn. 2:30 CBS Sports, 11-0 Liberty. They go to El Paso and play 3-8 UTEP. 2:30 ESPN U. 6-5 Georgia Southern versus 7-4 Appalachian State. 2:30 on ESPN Plus. 6-5 Arkansas State versus 5-6 Marshall. 2:30 ESPN2. The pissed off James Madison, who's 10-1 now because they lost last week, playing 7-4 Coastal Carolina. That might not be too bad of a game. 3 p.m. ESPN Plus. 8-3 Jacksonville State. 8-3 Jacksonville State plays 9-3 New Mexico State. 3 p.m. on Fox. 5-6 Washington State plays undefeated Washington. 6 p.m. Pac-12 Apple Cup. They call that one the Apple Cup. 6 p.m. Pac-12 Network. 8-3 Notre Dame versus 3-8 Stanford. What the hell has happened to Stanford the last couple of years? 6 p.m. ESPN. Undefeated Florida State versus 5-6 Florida. Like I said, no Travis. Florida State's still a good team, but Florida, one win away from bowl eligibility. Rivalry game, playing at Florida, Gainesville. You never know. 6 p.m. FS1, 7-4 West Virginia versus 3-8 Baylor. Baylor just can't wait to get this season over with. 6 p.m. NFL Network, Southern Alabama versus Texas State. Both are 6-5. 6:30 on ABC, 11-0 Georgia versus 6-5 Georgia Tech. Not saying Georgia Tech is going to beat Georgia, but they have snuck up on some people in the last couple of years and beat them. And it is there in Georgia, or in Atlanta. So, I mean, you never know. You really never know in college football. 6:30 SEC Network, 7-4 Clemson versus 5-6 South Carolina. What they call it, the rivalry in the Palmetto State. South Carolina beat them. Remember last year? One win away from bowl eligibility. I know this year has not gone like they thought it was. So they could be good and pissed playing at home. Sandstorm going. They could beat Clemson. 6:30 ESPN2, 7-4 Kansas versus 3-8 Cincinnati. 6:30 on ESPNU, 3-8 Charlotte versus 5-6 South Florida. 7 p.m. ACC Network, 8-3 North Carolina versus 8-3 North Carolina State. That could be a good one. 7 p.m. Fox, 6-5 Iowa State versus 8-3 Kansas State. Last few years, that was a good game. Iowa State, Kansas State. But Iowa State's kind of fallen off a little bit. 8 p.m. CBS Sports, 7-4 Wyoming versus 2-9 Nevada. 9:30 on ESPN, your late night football games. 5-6 Cal versus UCLA. I'd probably watch that one because Cal's trying to get bowl eligible. UCLA is just not as good as they used to be. They are playing in the Rose Bowl down there, so you never know. 9:30 Fox Sports 1, 8-3 Fresno State versus 3-8 San Diego State. And 10 p.m. on Spec, 5-6 Colorado State versus 4-8 Hawaii. Hawaii plays 13 games because they always play week 0. When is Hawaii going to realize that nobody's buying this Spec except maybe people on Hawaii? Put your stuff back on CBS Sports late at night. Come on. All you're doing is pissing us all off who like to watch college football till 1 or 2 in the morning. That is it. Man, I hope y'all get off early today if you're working. If you're not working, enjoy your day. Man, enjoy your Thanksgiving. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. Pig out, watch football, drink beer, enjoy your family and friends, man. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday because it starts off the holiday season and it's just fun getting together with everybody and eating and watching football. Anyway, have a great holiday. Have a great weekend. Be safe. We'll be back next week to sum up everything before championship week. Sad day. This is a sad day because this is the last full weekend of college football. It goes by fast, though, doesn't it? Oh, well. It comes every year. We know it. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Have a good holiday. We'll see you next time.